Have you ever felt older than your actual age? Like while everyone else was busy being carefree, you were already worrying about life, money, people's moods, or keeping everything together? Maybe you learned too early that life doesn't always wait for you to grow up first. And now people call you mature like it's a compliment. But they don't realize maturity sometimes comes from survival because some people grow up from time. Others grow up from pressure. And if you had to grow up too fast, there's a strange truth about it. You probably developed strengths most people never will. Not obvious strengths like being loud, confident, or popular. I mean rare strengths, quiet ones. The kind that only appear when life forces someone to emotionally speedrun adulthood. And chances are, you don't even notice you have them. So, let's talk about the 5 rare strengths people develop when they grow up too fast. Number 1, you can read people extremely well. You notice tiny changes others miss. Tone shifts, fake smiles, forced laughter. That I'm fine, that definitely does not mean I'm fine. You became good at this because at some point you had to. Maybe you grew up around unpredictable people. Maybe you had to constantly check moods to avoid conflict. Maybe your brain learned if I can understand people quickly, I can protect myself. So now you walk into a room and instantly feel the energy. Meanwhile, everyone else is like, bro, the vibe is normal. And you're sitting there thinking, nope, someone here cried 17 minutes ago. It's almost like a superpower, except it's emotionally exhausting. The weird thing is, people often think you're overthinking, but most of the time, you're just noticing patterns they can't see. You understand people deeply because you had to study human behavior earlier than most. That's rare. Number 2, you stay calm during chaos. And honestly, this one surprises people the most. While others panic, freeze, or completely lose it, you somehow become quieter and more focused. Not because you enjoy stress, but because stress feels familiar. Your brain got trained early to handle emotional pressure. So when problems happen, something inside you switches into survival mode. You become the person saying, okay, relax, let's figure this out, even when your own life feels like a broken Wi Fi router blinking red lights. And sure, being calm in chaos sounds cool, but sometimes it's sad too, because people who grew up too fast often learned they weren't allowed to fall apart. They became the strong one before they even knew how to be a kid. Still, that ability to think clearly under pressure, that's a rare strength. A lot of people completely shut down when life gets hard. You don't. You adapt. Number 3, you became emotionally independent. Now, this doesn't mean you never need people. It means you learned early that you couldn't always rely on them emotionally. So instead of expecting comfort, you learned how to comfort yourself. You learned how to sit with pain quietly, how to keep going while hurting, how to solve your own problems. That's why you rarely ask for help. In fact, sometimes people ask you for help while you're secretly struggling too, which is honestly one of the funniest and saddest parts about being emotionally strong. You could be mentally fighting demons at 2 a.m. and still reply to someone else with, hey, don't worry, everything's gonna be okay. Like, wow, your emotional support package includes self destruction, apparently. But seriously, that independence makes you resilient. You don't collapse every time life disappoints you. You've already survived emotional situations that forced you to become stronger than expected. And even though it came from difficult experiences, it gave you depth. Number 4, you understand responsibility better than most people your age. Some people learn responsibility slowly. You learned it fast, maybe too fast. Maybe you had to take care of siblings. Maybe you had to act mature around adults. Maybe you had to deal with serious problems while other kids were worried about homework and snacks. And because of that, you naturally think ahead. You plan. You prepare. You notice consequences before other people do. That's why sometimes you feel disconnected from overly careless people. You're not trying to be boring. Your brain just got trained to think, what happens next? Meanwhile, someone else is making life decisions with the energy of a raccoon holding fireworks, and you're there silently stressed for them. People who grow up too fast often become dependable adults, the type of people others trust naturally. Because even when life gets messy, you know how to carry responsibility without completely collapsing. And finally, number 5, you value genuine connections more than superficial ones. This is a huge one. When you've experienced emotional stress early in life, fake relationships become exhausting. You stop caring about popularity. You stop chasing approval from everyone. Instead, you start appreciating peace, honesty, and emotionally safe people. You'd rather have one real friend than 20 fake ones. You'd rather sit in silence with someone genuine than force conversations with people pretending to care. Because growing up too fast changes the way you see relationships. You understand how rare sincerity actually is. And that's why shallow attention doesn't impress you for long. You crave depth, real conversations, real loyalty, real understanding. And honestly, that's becoming rarer every year. Now, here's the important part: growing up too fast is not something people should romanticize. It can leave scars. It can make you anxious, emotionally tired, overly independent, and constantly stuck in survival mode. Sometimes you miss the version of yourself that never got to exist, the carefree version, the lighter version. But at the same time, you should recognize what you survived created strengths too. Not because pain is beautiful, but because you adapted beautifully. You became observant, resilient, emotionally intelligent, reliable, deep. Those qualities are rare. And if nobody's told you this before, you deserved softness too, not just strength, because strong people get tired as well. And maybe healing isn't about becoming a completely different person. Maybe it's about finally allowing yourself to feel safe enough to rest. So if this video felt personal, maybe it's because some part of you has been carrying adulthood since childhood. And if that's true, I hope you remember this. The fact that you survived difficult things doesn't mean you were supposed to handle them alone, but the strength you built along the way, that's real.